Well, good Monday morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Inspiration for Today. I feel like this is a family, and I want to continue to go through life with you together as we study God's Word and as we let the Lord bless us and encourage us. And we turn to His Word every day. And so many of you encourage me too. Thank you for doing that. This is a real blessing in my life. Hey, last week, I just wanted to continue Easter. And so we did that by reading all the appearances of Jesus that are recorded in the Gospels. And that time after time, he was showing them that indeed he is alive and he had a physical body and he ate with them. He still enjoyed food and a meal. And our bodies, we're promised, will be like his risen body. Now, I got to say, I was wondering what to do, what we could study together this week. And I realized, or I remembered actually, that there are other appearances of Jesus that are recorded. They're just not in the four Gospels. And I would be shortchanging us if we didn't read those also. And indeed, they do encourage, we can continue Easter this week. And these appearances are absolutely spectacular. And if we didn't remind ourselves of these, wow, it would not have been a thorough study of those times that Jesus appeared to those who were here and showed him that he had conquered death. Now, the first one that's not in the Gospels actually is in the book of Acts, the very next book written by Luke, who was a doctor. And when you read through Acts, I like it for a lot of reasons, but Luke seemed like a very articulate and detailed person. And when Dr. Luke says these things, they're just, I just feel like I was there. In Acts chapter 1, he introduces the very last appearance of Jesus before he was raised to heaven. And don't you agree that anything that Jesus would say literally at the moment that he's being ascending into heaven, those would be important things? Well, Luke introduces this, what Jesus did, in chapter 1 at verse 3. And he says, during the 40 days after he suffered and died, he appeared to the apostles from time to time. Right off of there, we realize Jesus was around on earth in his new risen body for how long? 40 days. 40 days. And finishing that sentence, he says, and he proved to them in many ways he was actually alive. Because, there had been those who said that you're just seeing a ghost. And can you blame them? I mean, in no one's experience had anyone ever, or for that matter now since, conquered death and risen from the grave after 3 days of being buried. But Jesus did. But he wanted to make sure that everyone knew it and everyone believed it. So it tells us there why he made these appearances, that he wanted to prove to them in many ways that he was actually alive. And then it says, and he talked to them about the kingdom of God. He was talking with them. They were completely convinced. And now they're meeting out on a mountaintop. Verse 7. This is the last paragraph that Jesus spoke to the apostles, disciples, right before he rose into the clouds. Verse 8 is going to be our verse for the day. It's a verse that I know you know. because it's repeated quite often, and it's a very important verse. Verse 7, the Father alone has the authority to set these dates and times. That is, when will he come back? And they're not for you to know. But you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you. And indeed, once the Holy Spirit came on them, from then on, every believer, you and I, we have the Holy Spirit. He has come upon us. And we studied that verse that says, our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit. Keeping going. And here it is. And you will be my witnesses. Verse 8. Telling people about me everywhere in Jerusalem, throughout Judea, in Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. He says that, and that's exactly what they did. Now, we don't live in Jerusalem, and nor Judea or Samaria is not close by. But the principle of us being in our Jerusalem, that will be his witnesses in Jerusalem, our Jerusalem, which for the most of the watchers of this show, is Laguna Woods. That's where the show is broadcast. So that's where we would start. Throughout Judea, it might be Orange County. Samaria was a different ethnic background, different people group, the Samaritans. We might minister cross-culturally, even in our own neighborhoods, and then to the ends of the earth, to do all we can to get the word of God, the good news of Jesus, out to the entire world. And the Christian church has been in the process of doing that for 2,000 years, and we're getting very, very close to accomplishing that goal. But isn't that something? Jesus wants everyone to know about him. And who does he use? You and me. It says, we will be his witnesses. You will be my witnesses, telling people about me everywhere. Wow. What a privilege. And what a responsibility that in Jesus's last paragraph, while he's still bodily form here on earth, he would give us that assignment. Fantastic, fantastic. And how do I know it's the last paragraph? Well, verse 9. After saying this, he was taken up into a cloud while they were watching, and they could no longer see him. Can you not imagine what it must have been like as we're looking up? We're looking up. And he rises into the cloud, alive. And this is why Jesus, he is alive today. Unlike any other founders of any religion where you can go visit their grave, you cannot go and visit a grave of Jesus, at least not one where he is still in it. You can go and you can view where people believe he was buried, but if you look inside, he's not there, because he rose and went into the clouds that day, witnessed by all those who were standing there listening to him too. Yes, he says, so that you can actually know that he was alive. You and I can know and do know that he is alive. God bless. We have an exciting few days here. I hope you'll join us tomorrow. It's just as good. See you then.
And I won't worry about tomorrow.